This is Dr. Bradley Nelson, author of The Emotion Code, How to Release Your Trapped Emotions for Abundant Health, Love, and Happiness. You're listening to Justin and Kate on Extreme Health Radio. For more information about the Body Code, visit extremehealthradio.com/Body Code.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
Broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world.
Justin and Kate Stellman.
And there we have the pyrotechnics once again.
That's a little dramatic.
A little dramatic here. Hey, you know what?
What?
A little trivia for you.
Okay.
We've done 166 shows, and just take a quick guess as to what is the most popular show we've done so far. Just off the top of your head.
I'm going to go with Mr. David Wolf,
Mr.
perhaps?
David Wolf, yeah. About 26,000 listens to that show. And it just keeps growing. It's crazy.
I think people might like him.
Yeah.
Safe to say?
Safe to say he might be kind of popular. People like David Wolf.
Oh, I love it.
So this is going to be a great show with David Wolf. We'll introduce him in just a moment, and that's going to be a lot of fun to talk with him. And we're going to be talking with him about success issues and success principles.
Great.
I think that's going to be really great because a lot of people talk about diet and what to eat, what not to eat, but I want to talk about valuing ourselves and motivating ourselves to actually do the things that we know we should do. So
absolutely.
Should be a good show. And my name is Justin, and that noise you heard, that voice you heard, I should say, was my wife, Kate.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, everybody. Look what I have to put up with, the abuse.
The abuse. And this is extremehealthradio.com/167. And we're broadcasting worldwide from Southern California. We do shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, our Sunday show is now going to be moved to Friday.
Right.
We're going to open that up and have that be a free-for-all Friday show where you guys could call in and join. So that'll be a lot of fun. And if you'd like to join us and stay up to date with what we're doing, we'd love to have you a part of our community and interact with us. We post all of our past shows and future shows and upcoming schedule, things like that on Facebook. So you can go to extremehealthradio.com/Facebook and click the like button on there, and you'll be off and running. And if you'd like to join the show, you could do so. You can just email me, Justin, at extremehealthradio.com.
Or Kate, Kate, at extremehealthradio.com.
And you can also send us a voicemail, too, straight from your computer. We'd love to have you do that. There's a little button on the website you can find there. And you can send us a voicemail. That would be fun. And if you guys would like to support our work, we'd love to have you support us. It would be amazing. A lot of people are doing that through Amazon. And if you'd like to do that, you just go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, and that'll redirect you to there, and you can purchase anything you'd like. It doesn't have to be health related. In fact, you can buy something very unhealthy if you like.
Bag of Twix bars.
A bag of Twix. And so you can support us that way, and that's a great way to support our work and make sure our shows continue to stay free for everybody. And just looking at our upcoming show schedule, we've got Dr. Robert Silverstein coming up, and he wrote a book called Maximum Healing, The 5 Basics for Health. So that'll be a great show. We'll talk to Dr. Silverstein. And then we've got Dr. Robert Rowan, and he is a prolific author and health guy, and he's been doing lots of work. Dr. Robert Rowan, he put together the Second Opinion newsletter.
Oh, right.
And he helps people with heart disease and all kinds of, quote, terminal issues. Then we have Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, double team.
Cool.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Qigong.
Nice.
One of our favorite little exercises we like to do.
Yeah.
But today we have David Wolf, and all we have is today, right?
Right, and I'm looking forward to it.
All we have is now. And he is a natural beauty expert, and he's been into raw foods for about 20 years, and he's the leader of the Raw Food Movement, an amazing guy, and he is the founder of, or co-founder of BestDayEver.com, as well as he's put together the Longevity Now conference. He's written the book, Longevity Now book, that he put together that we have. It's amazing.
And we've had the pleasure of going to the conference.
And he's put together the Women's Wellness Conference. And his books are Eating for Beauty, Sun Food Diet Success System. I highly recommend the Sun Food Diet Success System.
Great book.
Naked Chocolate, Superfoods, Amazing Grace, Superfoods, the Food and Medicine of the Future, the Longevity Now program, So he's done just about everything. And so I want to thank you, David, for being on today.
Thank you. It's great. Super, super excited.
So you are up in Canada at the moment, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of a snowstorm right now. I was going to go outside and do this call with you guys, but it's snowing full on.
Oh,
it's
man.
great.
Wow. So are you out there in no shoes, hopefully?
Yeah, totally. In fact, I will actually go outside at some point while we're talking and just kind of take in the fresh air. We're in a really cool ecosystem here. We're near the Great Lakes. We're near the Georgian Bay, and so basically the winds come down from the Arctic. They come right across the Hudson Bay and James Bay, the big inland water area of Canada, of eastern Canada, and then they just blow right over the Great Lakes, right and hit us. We're on the top of a hill up here. So it's really, really cold here in the winter.
Wow. How often do you spend there in Canada each year, do you think?
As much time as anywhere. I've been here in this place for 9 years now.
Wow.
And it's just great. It's been an awesome part of my life, and I like cold weather. I like understanding that the world is mostly cold and opening to cold instead of running from cold. Let's open to it a little bit more and get into the cold and see what that has to teach us.
Yeah, that's amazing you said that, because recently I've heard, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, Dr. Jack Kruse, and he's a paleo kind of guy. He's a neurobrain surgeon kind of thing, and really fascinating guy, but he was talking about this thermogenesis protocol that he does. He's got a leptin protocol and all these wild things he does, and one of them is he fills his bath with ice and sits in that. And he claims that he lost over 120 pounds just by, I think, just doing that and not even exercising. It's nuts.
My friend Andrew Saul, him and I were in Food Matters together, the film Food Matters.
Yeah.
He has this whole thing about losing weight by drinking cold water because you have to burn off you have to heat up the water. You burn off the calories in heating yourself up.
Really?
So that kind of reminded me of what you were just telling me there. And I think there's something to it, but there's also something to this whole thing of you got to be at the right weight for your ecosystem. That's the other side of it. Everybody's like, no, you got to have six-pack abs. You got to look like this. You got to have like that. And actually, that's in terms of survival. I'm up here. We're in the frontier. There's 2 highways north of us, and then you don't hit another highway until you get to the North Pole. It's one of the most incredible, expanses of open land in the world. And we're kind of at the frontier, and I can take pictures here in the winter that looks like we're in the Arctic up here, and you can't be that skinny up here. You freeze to death. It's too cold in the winter. So I see both sides of that equation. People are so freaked out about, I got to lose weight, I got to be this weight. And then the other side is, you need to be at the right weight. You need to be at the weight that's appropriate for you. It gives you the most energy and is appropriate for your ecosystem.
Yeah, you're totally right, because people who say those types of things, can we say that any of those people have never been influenced in some capacity by fashion magazines and media? So their ideal idea of a great body is probably too skinny to begin with.
Right, exactly, and it's important. We learned from the low fat diets that's a problem. Being on a low fat diet too long, you don't get the right oils. It can damage your nervous system. I'm out in the snow right now, actually. This very moment.
Nice.
I had to walk outside.
I love it.
So yeah, you have to get the right oils. You also have to have the right ability to produce heat in your body. So that's another thing that comes up quite a bit. People are always like, "Oh, I'm always so cold. I'm always so cold." That's a metabolic issue that can be addressed with lifestyle, with diet, with being grounded. You guys are obviously into the grounding thing about being barefoot on the earth. It improves your circulation. So you warm up easier. You can warm your body up quicker. I've always been enamored with the story of the Tibetan lamas who sit in the snow and melt the snow through the night, and that's their rite of passage. I always thought that was really cool.
Wow, that's fascinating. So now with the kind of the subject matter that we want to cover today, which is more success and motivational principles that people can implement into their life, I'm sure you run up against this a lot with people where they talk to you and you can tell pretty quickly, almost by their own self-deprecating language that they use, pretty quickly what their level of success is in their life. Because this talk, I want it to be about success, not just with health, although that will be the theme of this talk, but just success principles in general. And so when people, I'm sure, do you get a lot of people coming up to you and asking you, how do I have the same kind of motivation you have, or how do I become successful in my life like you have?
It comes up to this. It's a Tony Robbins phrase.
Uh-huh.
You got to major in major things. You don't want to major in minor things. It comes up to ideas of like what was happening here last night. I had a friend here last night, and it was just constantly on minor dramas. And finally, I had to kick him out. I'm like, dude, you got to leave. It's you got to stop and cut it off. What you're dealing with and what's taking up your whole mind and your whole day are these minor little dramas that are totally insignificant, and it's a total waste of time, and it's a total waste of energy. And I think that's really what's going on, is that people major in minor things. They put all their focus, everything's like this huge drama over something that's insignificant or that isn't moving them and their life forward. So we've got to kind of understand that idea that where our attention goes, energy flows and will amplify. So whatever our attention is on is going to amplify in our life. And it's a constant and assiduous discipline to keep your focus on where you want to go, what you want to have happen, on the projects at hand, and keep it off of minor stuff, insignificant stuff that's just silly.
So having that awareness, I think, is key too, because a lot of people don't even realize that they're putting their attention on things that don't matter. And so just being able to recognize that for people, I think, is probably pretty important.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. So you need to get into your values. That's the John DeMartini thing. Mm-hmm. Really getting a really good look at your values, and then keeping your attention assiduously focused on those top values. And for some people, they're going to value their relationships. That's a super important thing. Other people are going to value their financial health. That's going to be a super important thing. And so you need to keep your attention there so that you can amplify whatever those solutions need to be, or whatever those actions need to be, or whatever has to happen in order for that to improve in your life. And I think that is really the key to success, is just a constant and assiduous control of where you're directing your attention.
What? Oh, did you want to say something?
How do people react, like your friend, when you say something like that? Is that taken well, or does that cause a little bit of a rift? Or
Well, see, I've come to a point now. Normally, I would have held my tongue, like what happened last night, and just dealt with it. But it was going on so much throughout the whole day. I was like, you know what? I don't need to take this. This is ridiculous. It's gone too far. And so there's going to be an energetic backlash, but that's because you're actually calling a spade. You're actually calling it out. You're calling whatever that neuroses that's going on, where somebody is just, churning through a program over and over and over again. It's totally insignificant. It's a total drama. It doesn't mean anything. And you're calling it out. And so whatever, that little demon's going to come out and attack, and it's like you just got to be able to deal with that. I just don't have the time to deal with those little minor issues anymore, and so I'm going to call it and be like, no, we're not going to be doing this. This is ridiculous.
It's interesting because when you're going through that, like last night with your friend, Kate and I talk about this all the time, and I kind of got the principles from Truth Calkins and through you and listening to your stuff is that when we put our energy onto certain things, especially low-level dramas like this, that's our life force that we're just donating up. We're just offering up for no real reason. That's our chi, our energy, our life force, or whatever you want to call it. Which is another interesting side to this, because a lot of people let life kind of suck that life force out of them, don't they?
Right, exactly. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of your life force, and it's also a waste of your time. Mm-hmm. And you need to get to a place in your life where these kind of minor dramas are like either they're not happening or you cut it off. You say, no, we don't have to forget it. We don't do that kind of drama. And there's a lot of neuroses in our whole civilization. It's one of the biggest things about Western civilization. Something like 20 to 25% of the population is debilitated by some kind of a looping mental illness where they constantly get caught up in a loop and a loop and a loop. And for me, I just don't deal with that. I just cut it off. I'm like, you're looping, you're going over and over the same thing, we're cutting it off. You got to get out of the house if you're going to bring that negativity in there. And I just drive it right out and drive it away from me, which is very important because you've got to set a parameter around. This is a big problem with relationships, that somebody gets into a relationship with somebody who's just caught up in all kinds of drama, and they get trapped because there's a love and a connection and that side of it. But then they're hooked into a whole drama, And so I've had to make very difficult decisions in my life with past relationships where I was like, no, sorry, cutting it off. I love you, but I don't love the drama, and that's it.
Wow. Yeah, I think like drawing the line in the sand over what you're going to accept into your circle is really important. So why do you think that a lot of people, I'm just thinking of the people that, you know, maybe they're going to work and they just really hate their job. They're not really connected to their family, and, you know, they're just kind of living lives of quiet desperation. You know, you heard that quote. Why do you think people have accepted that for their life, and why do you think that's so prevalent in today's society?
Well, it's difficult to really get activated when the media around you is a kind of a constant negative energy machine. It's constantly a doom and gloom report. And so in the world, if we don't have the privilege, you know, as I had, and maybe you guys had as well, of being exposed to spiritual literature, being exposed to success literature, being exposed to prosperity forms of consciousness, being exposed to the idea that I can change my life and I can transform my health and I can be somebody in the world and I can make a change in the world. Not everybody has had the privilege of being exposed to those ideas. This is the great gift of Western civilization, is getting that kind of, you know, that kind of self-transformational concepts out into the world. And so, you know, I feel that, you know, when we're dealing with people like that, it's like, okay, I understand that you've not, you know, been exposed to what I've been exposed to, not had the opportunities that I've been exposed to. But once you come in front of me, or once you come in front of a book, or once you come in front of a type of media, let's say it's your show, that's opening you and exposing you to these opportunities and possibilities, then at that point you have to start taking responsibility for transforming and changing your life, and to step out of that quiet desperation and step into action about something that you're passionate about. And this is one of the things that's the core of our superhero training. It's really the core of, I think, everything, is really getting connected to your passion. That's the message for everybody out there in quiet desperation. Get connected to your passion and start doing it.
And you know what I love about your work is, you know, I love all the success kind of people, Jack Canfield and, you know, Tony Robbins and John Assaraf and all these people. I love them. But what I like about your work is that it almost takes some kind of medium to get from, or some kind of discipline to get from the ideas that they're talking about to actually implementing them as a discipline in your life. And what you talk about, obviously, is food and transformation and things like that. And so I want to talk a little bit about adding versus subtracting in foods into your diet. And it could be food, or it could be adding or subtracting disciplines also into your daily life. For me, it was your principle of not focusing on eating bad food, because everyone has to make that transition. But it was focusing on what good things are you adding into your life every day? What disciplines are you adding in? And I have to say that changed my whole life.
That's amazing. That's awesome. The add-in principle is so beautiful, and I love the way we word it. It's like, we're not into diets, because diets are about dying. The word diet needs the word die. We're into living it, right? The live it, because it's actually living food, so you're living it. Plus, you're actually like living, and then on top of that, you're in the moment because you're living it right now. Yeah. In the old days, amongst the raw food fanatics I used to hang out with, we used to say cooked food is in the past. It's already dead. It's already been done. It's in the past. You can't be in the moment. The food's already been done. So, raw foods in the moment was kind of our little thing. And that led to this idea of the live it, where you're living it and you're just adding in every great thing. And you let nature take its course. Nature is going to take its course, and nature is going to inform you, what the next logical step is. And that's what I love about having food as leverage to make your life transform. And I'm telling you, like right now, where we are is you got to take care of yourself right now, because the stem cell therapies that are coming down the pipeline, the level of anti-aging supplements is going to put another 15, 40, 100 years onto your life. That is science reality now. And my God, what if you suddenly realize that and you've been beating yourself up for 50 years? It's like, whoa, you could have an extra 100 years of life. That's possible now. Technology now.
Wow.
I mean, I was on the phone yesterday with a friend of mine who's a really amazingly powerful Titanic entrepreneur, a Canadian guy. He's one of the most powerful people in all of Canada, actually. And we've been friends for 10 years. And over the years, I've been on him about, okay, you got to get superfoods, raw foods. We got to get your whole thing organic. And step by step, he's done it, which is amazing. You know, it was like, you know, I just gave up many times with him. I was like, okay, he's not getting it. But then he would get it, and he'd make that next step. And now he's involved in funding a huge amount of stem cell research worldwide. And he's telling me what's happening right at the very inside cutting edge of that technology. This is going to change everything about everything. So if you've been stuck in a situation of self-deprecating behavior, languaging, bad quality food, do something now, because very quickly, within the next 5 years, for everybody, will be options where you can go to a clinic and get just like a simple therapy where they take a little bit of your bone marrow stem cells out and then multiply them. You can't do that in the U.S., but you can do that in other countries, and then just inject that back into you. So you take, say, 100,000 stem cells out of your bone marrow, multiply it into just under 1 billion stem cells, and then drip that back into your system, and all of a sudden those old injuries that you've had for 5 years, 10 years are 50% better in like 3 days.
Wow.
That's science reality right now, and it's actually way beyond that, but that's going to be available for everybody, that type of therapy.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating. We have to take a short break, but yeah, we talked to Dr. David Steenblock, who's doing that, and he's kind of one of the world's authorities on stem cell therapy, and he's just over in our area in Orange County, and he'll take your blood and take your stem cells, and if he needs to add anything to it, he'll ship it down to Mexico, have it spun, and then have it shipped back. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So if you're interested in David Wolfe, check out his website, davidwolfe.com, as well as thebestdayever.com, and just search the Longevity Now program. If you're interested in that, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/longevity, and you'll be able to check out the Longevity Now program, and it's just an amazing course that we have. It's really, really great. So check that out, and we will be right back with David Wolfe after this break. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself. So go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
So, Kate, you got your vitamin C water?
I sure did.
A little during the break?
Downed a couple raspberries. I'm good to go.
A little bit of vitamin C. You like that Health Force vitamin C, don't you?
I love this stuff.
Yeah,
I started it a couple years ago when I was sick up in Tahoe, and ever since I take it daily, and I haven't been sick since. So, hey, I'm doing what works.
It's good stuff. There you go. We're talking about adding stuff into your life and versus taking things away, and there's a great thing to add in.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's helped a lot.
So if you guys are interested in that Qigong course, you can listen to the show we did with Tristan at extremehealthradio.com/127, and you can learn more about that course. It's really great. I've been doing it a lot lately and just really love it. So check that out. And as the lady said, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you join our community and stay up to date with our upcoming show schedule and our past shows and all that kind of stuff. And so we've got Mr. David Wolf from Canada today.
Standing in the snow,
making snow angels. And so, David, before the break, we were talking a little bit about the adding versus subtracting food and disciplines into your diet or lifestyle. And so I think that's a really powerful way to look at health. Where did you come up with that idea?
It was just, it's a product of experience and being in the field where when you start realizing that the biggest problem with diet is psychology, it's just like with success, it's the psychology. Then you start realizing, wait, how are we going to empower people to make the right changes for themselves? One thing that you don't ever want to do is say, you can never have this again. That's the worst idea ever. I mean, who wants to hear that about anything? So even bringing that thought form into a conversation about food is a terrible idea. Even bringing that whole concept in. So it's always about, look what we get to have. Look at all this amazing stuff. And then we immediately, of course, realize that there's only so much we can eat in a day. And so as long as we're going to eat anything, we might as well have this stuff or take, whatever we liked before. Let's say you like chocolate. Look, we'll give you the most incredible, organic, raw, dark chocolate you ever had in your whole life by flavor and health benefits. It has both. And as soon as you're on that, you don't ever want that burnt, waxy, tobacco-y chocolate ever again.
Right. It's just a matter
automatic upgrade.
Yeah, it's an automatic upgrade. It's just a matter of choosing one over the other. I mean, how hard is it to reach for something else in the produce aisle versus something that's unhealthy for you?
And something that's tasty, too, that tastes better. We realized a long time ago, I mean, in my world of, dealing with raw food restaurants, vegetarian restaurants all over the world, we realized a long time ago that the number one thing that we have to have is flavor. We have to beat everyone on flavor. And that's all been worked out. I mean, there's like coconut ice cream you can get in almost any store now that blows away any of the other ice cream just on flavor. There's all kinds of amazing raw ice creams you can get. You go to Pure Food and Wine in New York City, or where were we the other day? We went to an amazing. We were in live in Toronto, and they had an amazing ice cream dish. I was like, "What the heck? I never even had this before." And it's all raw, organic, and tastes better than anything else.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, your palate sure changes once you have a taste of that stuff.
Yeah, your taste buds actually activate for the first time, probably.
Right, yeah, and that's another thing about raw foods and just about healthy food in general is getting back to that more subtle and delicate palate. The thing that's talked about in the slow food movement, and I'm really proud of the slow food movement. Actually, the Pope just called the guy running the whole slow food movement. He called him personally. I called up one day. He answers the phone, and it's the Pope on the line. I mean, think of how amazing that is.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine? Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, who's on the phone? Oh, it's the Vatican. Oh, like, what do you mean? Like, it's the Pope.
You would expect to be Bono if that happened. That's hilarious.
That is crazy.
So one of your things that you are into is thebestdayever.com. And for anyone who hasn't been a member of that, I have been a member of that and actually need to sign up again because that is a great, great website. Lots of amazing stuff. But thebestdayever.com is a website where David has lots of his talks and speaking engagements and interviews and things. But the wording of it is really great. And I think that the best day ever kind of relates to languaging patterns in terms of, when you ask someone, hey, how's your day? And they say, oh, it's could be better. Mm-hmm. Versus if someone says, oh, this is the best day ever, And so did you just come up with that and did you kind of design it to go along with that website name like that? And
Well, okay, so the best day ever, that whole phrase came up. I was traveling Europe with a friend of mine back about 20-something years ago. You know, when you get out of college, and well, actually in this particular instance, we were in our first year of law school, and we wanted to do a study abroad program. So we went to Europe to do that. We went early, and we traveled all across Scandinavia, and then we eventually made it through Holland into the UK. We were studying at Oxford. And in that process of traveling around with my friend, we had this thing of like, it's the best day ever, it's the best day ever, you got to get going, come on, you cannot pass out on me, you've got to get up, we got to go out tonight, it's going to be the best night ever. And that's how it started.
Really? That's awesome. That's so funny. That's great.
I love that.
And so when people have like low-level conversations with people and they kind of talk about self-deprecating, you know, they use self-deprecating language around themselves. How do people get out of that kind of language pattern, do you think?
You have to become very aware of what you're saying. Uh-huh. What I did, and this helped me a lot, and this discipline turned me into one of the top public speakers in the world. What I did when I was about 19, I realized that public speaking would be my destiny in some way, shape, or form. It's what I've always loved. It's something deep inside me. I'm a born orator, so I didn't have the lectures to give. I didn't have the people to talk to, so I would get out books that I was reading and read 10 pages out loud to myself.
Wow.
And I did that every day. I remember doing that every day during an entire summer at one point, and that's what led to where I'm at today. So those little things, it's amazing, practice regularly can actually add up to big things later, and it helps you control your elocution. I love that word, elocution. It's the way you speak. Yeah. It helps you to control what you're saying. Rappers are very good at this. I actually do share something with rappers, and I understand how a rapper's mind works because it's very much like a public speaker. Uh-huh. You're already on the next line or 2 lines ahead of where you are what you're saying. In your mind, you're 2 or 3 lines ahead.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you're speaking, but you're already thinking about, okay, then the next thing's going to be this, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to take it here. And so that's kind of like how a rapper's mind works. That's really what creates a good rapper is when they have that skill. And that comes from practicing public speaking, either doing it for real in front of an audience or just reading aloud.
Wow. That's a good practice. And when people are talking about their own health, I find this a lot too, is they'll speak negatively about their body, or they'll speak negatively about, maybe they're looking for a nodule or something like that. And what happens is that with a lot of people, especially in today's culture with their, being dominated by the media and things like that, is that when they say those words, it actually it crystallizes into the body, doesn't it?
Right. It's what you say is what you get, and the things you say about yourself is what you manifest around yourself. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in goal setting. I'm a big believer in affirmations. Uh-huh. And basically, when you're into self-deprecating word patterns, what you're really doing is you're sending out a prayer for what you don't want. That's what it is. It's a negative prayer. You're praying for what you don't want. So you're affirming things you don't want to have happen. So you have to be very, very careful about how you talk about yourself to other people and about how you speak, because it's going to inform your tissues. It's going to inform your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your skin into the conversation. This is the amazing thing. It's like there's only a few voices on the planet, but there are a lot of ears, and there's twice as many ears on the planet as there are mouths. And everything's always listening. That's a big part of how the universe is working. There's a constant listening going on. So whenever something is spoken, it should be attuned to many of those ears that are listening, and also with the intent that you're going to upgrade and improve what's happening in the experience of all those listening ears, whether that's a listening ear inside your kidney, a listening ear in somebody else's body, a listening ear in someone else's head. You know, everything's listening all the time, and our elocution, our speaking, is a very powerful part about how we manifest things in this world.
That's fascinating, because I know a long time ago you gave this analogy or this example of, I know you're into boxing, and Muhammad Ali used to declare that the champ is here before he was even champion, right?
His great phrase was, "I said I was the greatest long before I was, and long before I believed it."
Wow.
Now if that doesn't, see, like, we forget, because we're a little bit, I imagine you're probably the same age range as me. I came a little bit at the end of Muhammad Ali's career when I started being conscious about sports and about him. He was already past his prime. But if you go back to, like, before he fought George Foreman was indestructible. He was Mike Tyson. No one could even move him.
Right.
And for Muhammad Ali to beat George Foreman is impossible. It was impossible that he beat George Foreman. But he not only beat him, he knocked him out in that famous fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it because he psyched himself up that he was the greatest. That no matter what, he would figure out a way to beat the great, who at that time was the greatest in the world, was George Foreman. And he did that. It's because he convinced himself that he could do it. And this is the amazing thing about sports, is that when you're in a sport like mixed martial arts or boxing, is that the person who wants it more, who has more heart, can actually win, which is so amazing. It can. That's also, I'd say, that's more true of like college football than say NFL football. In college football, it's more emotional. Like the team that wants it more and believes they can win will win. And I love that about sports. That's what I love about mixed martial arts actually today.
Yeah, it's the person that actually, you can see it. I see it with the guy named, for those that follow the UFC and things like that, this guy Diego Sanchez he's just got this mental approach to his fighting that is just it kind of reminds me of Muhammad Ali in that sense, because he is just the most focused, dedicated intentional guy. He's doing his meditations and he's doing his affirmations and he's doing his yoga and he's eating right. And this is a guy who, like you said, David, a long time ago, I think you mentioned this about Muhammad Ali, where you quoted him as saying, I throw every punch with mean intention.
But that was Mike Tyson.
Oh, that was Mike Tyson.
I remember hearing that, because see, we went through that whole time of the end of Muhammad Ali's career,
mm-hmm.
and then it went to Larry Holmes, who was a jabber boxer. It was very unexciting, very good fighter, but very unexciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Mike Tyson came along, something really changed, because I was so sick of like, oh God, it's gonna be another jab for 12 rounds and run, then jab and run, and all of a sudden boxing was like a nightmare. But then Mike Tyson came along, and I remember seeing a program of him. This is when he was about 8-0 or something. He's just 7-0 or something, very beginning of his career. And all of a sudden they interview him, and he says, I throw every punch with mean intentions. I throw every punch to knock the person out. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Whoa. Like, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear this jabbing, run, jab, run, jab, run away. It was like the opposite of everything that had been going on in sports up to that point. And, that had lulled sports into this, like, terrible, sleep. And then mixed martial arts comes along, which is like, it's all out. It's not boxing. It's like, it's heart, it's passion, it's fire, it's fitness, it's nutrition. It's all of it wrapped up into one. And wow, I was inspired by what happened, what Mike Tyson said, but it affected me in many, many ways very deeply throughout my whole life and my whole career. All my books are written with that in mind. Does that sentence have any punch in it? No. Get rid of it. Does that sentence have any punch in it? Nope, it's not good enough. Get rid of it. Is that sentence just fluff? Yes, get rid of it. Is that sentence got it? Yeah, actually, that sentence is okay, I'll leave that one in. It's like that.
Wow.
Yeah, what if people started doing that with everything they were doing in their life?
Charging it.
Just living with complete intention on everything,
That's it, right? That level of, like, intention and that level of power and everything that's done. And this is what's changing nutrition around, too. It's like, well, vitamin B5 might be an effective adjunct to a therapy for poor quality skin. It's like, dude, shut up. Let's get right to it. Let's get, first of all, I want to know what has the highest amount of vitamin B5 of any food, which is royal jelly, out of a hive. Let's have that, and let's have that the best quality that's ever existed. And if that best quality doesn't exist now, let's create it. Let's get the bees growing in the best way possible so they can create the best royal jelly ever.
Yeah, I love it. Like you were talking about with Larry Holmes, he was almost fighting so that he wouldn't lose. You're fighting not to win, but you're fighting just to avoid losing. And a lot of people are doing that just in their daily life,
Yeah, right, yeah. Jab, run. Let's hope I don't get hurt. Let's jab some more. Maybe I can, maybe get back in for another prize fight, make a whole bunch of money, and, jab. And it's just the worst thing ever. It was a nightmare. And thank God that whole reality is gone. That whole thing is gone. It's been replaced by heart and passion, and let's concentrate our focus so that every single thing that we're doing has the most intent behind it possible, has the most bang for the buck possible. And that brings to light the superfood revolution and the super herb revolution, and the idea of like actually going out and hunting wild spring water. And well, let's see what the best water that this earth has to produce is. Let's go to it. Let's find it.
I love that, because I've heard, I don't know if it was from you or I listen to so much stuff, I don't know what comes from who, but people were talking about how when people go out and get spring water, or they go out and get herbs or things like that, the medicine actually becomes more beneficial for you if you have to work to go get it.
Or the process. This is the thing I picked up in Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book, The Cancer Ward. It's a really cool concept. Alexander Solzhenitsyn is the famous dissident in Russia. He battled cancer, and he autobiographically wrote about it in his book, The Cancer Ward. And when he says two things about chaga mushroom in that book, because he was really healed by chaga mushroom, he says that one way that it heals you is like what's in it and the amazing stuff that's in it. But the other way that's even more powerful is that it actually gets you up and gets you into the forest looking for it. And that process is even more powerful than actually taking it.
Wow. Isn't that interesting? So something's happening at the cellular level when you're searching for something to heal you like that.
Exactly. That's what he says. The way he words it, maybe it sounded better in the original Russian, but he says it gets you out looking like looking for your medicine, like an animal that's hurt. And that kind of captures it. I kind of feel what he's driving at there, but I bet you in the original Russian, it was probably more something like, the spirit of an animal. You're out there with the spirit of an animal, looking for that thing that can save you, and that energy and that whole emotion of hope is a big part of it. Plus, you're moving. Plus, you're breathing in the forest. Plus, there's the fractal energy of the forest that imposes its natural harmonics on you. That all those things have great healing effects.
Wow, I'm just getting chills here. I want to do that. That sounds awesome.
I was hunting mushrooms in the forest yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. As you can probably detect.
I love it. We have to take a little break here. We're with David Wolfe, the co-founder of thebestdayever.com and davidwolfe.com, and just an amazing individual. So we'll be right back with David Wolfe right after this break. Kate and I have had our sauna for about a year now, I'd say, when we first got it from Phil Wilson. And it's an incredible machine. We use ours about every single day. Kate sits in about 20 minutes, and I sit in there about for a half hour. Usually watch a documentary, and it's extremely relaxing. It's really, really incredible machine. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/sauna, you can learn all about it. We did an entire hour interview with Phil Wilson. You can check that out. You can look at the pictures of us with it. You can watch videos on that page. It helps you to sleep really, really well. You can lose a lot of weight with it. You can burn, I think, around 600 calories in about 20 minutes or so. It improves your skin, increases circulation all over the body, and circulation is critical for your health. You can prevent and reverse diseases with it if you have a cold or flu. It's incredible. It heats you down to the core. It heats 4 to 6 inches inside your body, so it's really incredible. And a lot of people use it for cancer as well. So if you have any kind of incurable, quote, disease, you can use it for that. And Dr. Shade is the foremost authority on detoxification. And listen to what he says about it.
How do I detoxify from plastics? I mean, you guys are using a sauna, and what does a sauna do for us? A sauna is great, but it's moving a number of different toxins. Remember, we talked about the mice, that if you put PCBs in there, then that made the mercury all that much worse. And sweating moves out a lot of plastics, volatiles, fat-based toxins. It's really good at moving those out and sweating those out. So that's how you're getting those out, and those are contributing to this synergistic soup inside the body. And so that's why they're good, is they're taking out a bunch of the different things in the soup.
And Daniel Vitalis, one of our favorite guests. What do you have to say about the sauna?
When you go into the sauna, like a far-infrared sauna like you discussed, your body goes into a deep relaxation mode, and your sympathetic nervous system shuts down and your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. And when that's active, that's the nervous system, part of your nervous system that's active when you meditate. that becomes active and your detoxification pathways open up wide. Why is this important? It's important because when you go running and you sweat, you're not necessarily eliminating very much toxicity from your body. But when you sweat in the sauna, you eliminate a lot of toxicity from your body. So sweating in a relaxed state is how we eliminate. The other thing is that what's wonderful about the sauna is that it puts you in a parasympathetic nervous system response, like as if you were meditating. So it's almost a hack. It's like a trick to get yourself into a meditative, relaxed state, to decompress stress, to reverse the effects of stress, and to get your body eliminating deep, deep toxicity that's stored in your body fat because it can come out in the oils of your skin. So I think, sauna is one of the most crucial detoxification, really health practices that we could take on, especially in this era of heavy toxicity, particularly fat-soluble toxins.
The sauna is really, really great. They offer payment plans because if you buy it through PayPal, it's 100% secure. You don't even need a PayPal account. I think you could do a payment plan through PayPal. It's got low EMF electromagnetic fields coming off of it. It's portable, so that means you don't have to knock down a wall in your house. You can just move it from room to room. It sets up in about 2 to 5 minutes. It's super easy to clean. All you got to do is wipe it down when you're done and wipe the neck down. And it produces energy and heat inside very, very evenly throughout the whole machine. All you have to do is sit in there for about 15 minutes a day. And the great thing I like about it too is it requires zero preheating. So you turn it on and you're starting to get warm and you're starting to detoxify with that far infrared light almost immediately. So it's really great. It comes with a 1-year warranty. It's about $990 plus $25 shipping. And that's really, really a good deal because if you look at most of the regular saunas out there, they are in the $2,000 to $4,000 range. So this is really, really a good deal. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Mr. David Avocado Wolfe. Great conversation. This is a man who's changed my life. And I've originally heard him on Coast to Coast in 2005, August of 2005.
Wow.
And my world has been changed forever. It's true.
I know.
Amazing guy. And so we're having a great time here. And as the lady said, don't forget to sign up to our newsletter series. We're giving away a really great ebook that sells for $20 on Amazon, Lessons from the Miracle Doctors. And it's a really, really great ebook. You can do that on our website. And if you're interested in that sauna, have any questions about it, let me know, and I'd love to help you. We use ours every single day.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. And so, David, before the break, we were talking a little bit about people's daily practices and living with intention and things. And I wanted to talk a little bit about also how to become an expert in a particular subject. You know, a lot of people, working professionals or whatever stage in life they are, they want to be an expert in a certain subject. And so in your book, The Sun Food Diet Success System, you have an entire chapter that's called Saturation Point. And I was wondering if you could expand on that a little bit.
That's great. Thank you. And I think of Brian Tracy's quote where he talks about if you want to become an expert in a subject, read a book a week on the subject for 2 years and you'll become an expert. If you want to become the national expert on the subject, read a book a week for 3 to 5 years. If you want to become the world authority on your subject, read a book a week on that subject every week for 5 to 7 years, and you'll become the world authority on that subject.
Wow.
And that very strongly affected me because one thing I can do is read and retain information. And so I thought, I'm going to turn that on to a whole nother level. And one of my most prized possessions is actually the library of all the books that I have in my field. And when I go through that library, both in my house right here, in my office, in another farm that I have read all those books. I mean, I've read, well over 1,000 books in this field, and that's what makes me the world expert in this field. is because I have that knowledge and I've been able to retain it, and I can kick it out at any moment. And that comes from totally saturating yourself. And what comes to mind is the work of Marshall McLuhan, who was a famous professor from the University of Toronto. Mm-hmm. And in the 60s, he wrote some very famous books like The Gutenberg Galaxy and The Medium is the Message. And he talked about the coming and impending change from cold media, which is like television telling you a message or a film telling you a message, to interactive media, which he called a hot media, mm-hmm. where you interact with it. So in our world today, if you want to take complete control of your profession, of your career, of your focus, you just completely take control of the media that's around you, and you direct it and make it hot instead of cold, where you get in front of a film and you're just like, oh, God, they're just telling you a message. Or at least you can select today much more readily with Netflix and every other thing that's out there which films you're watching that can empower you and educate you. And that transition from cold media to hot media can turn you into a genius.
And also in your book, The Sun Food Diet Success System, in that chapter, Saturation Point, you mention and you talk about people's ability to learn in terms of what kind of learner are you and what kind of information you can take in. So for me, I love learning as an audio learner, and I've been interested in this website for the last year called Creditors in Commerce that teaches how to be a creditor and spiritual principles involved with commerce and that kind of thing. And for me, I've just been saturating myself. I listen to it every single day. I must listen to 3 or 4 hours of that stuff every day. And so you talk about that in your book, where you talk about saturating your point with different styles of media, don't you?
That's right. And some of us are auditory learners. I'm definitely an auditory learner. I'm definitely also a literate learner, where I can learn a lot from reading. Other people are visual. They need to see it. Some people are kinesthetic. They need to feel it. They need to be at the seminar. They need to be at the event. They need to be at the training to really get it and be able to learn it. So you need to find out where you are, and then if you find out that for example, you're a great learner from films, the documentary is a really great way for you to learn, turn that on, maximize that. Watch 100 documentaries in your field a year, if such a thing even exists. Mm. And pretty soon thereafter, you will be the authority in that field. And it's amazing to me, having grown up all those years with the Jim Rohns, the Brian Tracys, the Tony Robbins, and all that crew there, that today those are the people who call me. Wow. I find that to be amazing. It's surreal. It's very surreal that these are the people that I listen to over and over and over again, and then today, 20 years later, all of a sudden they're my friends. It's like, whoa, how interesting is that?
It's interesting too. When I'm listening to those guys, I'm noticing that they're getting more turned on to food and nutrition as well.
Yeah, I hope I'm having some effect.
Yeah.
Because my goal always in the beginning was to take that world, of prosperity consciousness and convert it over into okay, now let's convert it over to healing the earth. Let's convert it over into healing ourselves with our food and fitness regime and eating organic and connecting it to the overall global healing, right? Because prosperity consciousness is wonderful. And if you're Sam Walton was a genius. But what if we had a genius like him working on correcting all the problems on our planet?
Yeah,
that's the generation I'm looking to inspire. I'm looking for the next Steve Jobs, but instead of being putting a dent into the universe with iPods, iPads, and iTunes, let's put a dent into the universe by saving our planet by taking landfills and converting them back into useful resources, or something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I want to talk a little bit about, I know we're kind of running up against the clock here. We only have a few more minutes left, but I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the Longevity Now program and your work with calcification, because I think it's pretty fascinating and pretty unique, at least for me.
Well, I'm calling it out, basically. It is a known thing in the natural healing profession, even in the medical profession. Let's say somebody gets on birth control pills. They have a very poor reaction to it. Their immune system malfunctions as a result of the hormone change in their body. All of a sudden, boom, they've got rheumatoid arthritis. They're 25 years old. Immunological problem going on with a joint or something. Mm-hmm. So what is the connection between hormones, immune system, and calcification? And there is a very strong connection. It's been well noted in the literature since the beginning of time that age-related calcification, stress-related conditions, for example, arthritis, for example, coronary plaque formation, for example, kidney stones, gallstones, Alzheimer's, which in the old days was called brain sand. It's a calcification of the brain. Why do all these things have something in common, namely the formation of excess calcium in the body, and what can we do about it? And that is, as you know, a big focus of my research, and it's a big focus of my new book, Longevity Now, which is now, it's basically third edition, rewritten with all the hormone pieces in it. That comes out on November 12th.
Oh, wow. It's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And so this whole calcium issue for people, like you said in your program, it is what eventually takes down all mammals, isn't it?
It is, yeah, exactly. If for example, let's say you had a tortoise. The tortoises can live 500 years, some of them. But what would get them? What finally gets them? It's arthritis. Finally gets a tortoise, and it's the great undertaker of all the noble life forms. They eventually get calcified. I get into every nuance of that, what it means, what the new medicine of the future is going to look like. Why calcification? How is it even happening? Should we take calcium supplements when we're dealing with calcification? Which the answer is no. Do not take calcium supplements. They're going to accelerate the calcification.
Right.
And we just cover it from every angle. So I think it's going to give people a really cool breath of fresh air as to where we're going with our longevity understanding. And I've had a lot of health professionals over the years come to me and be like, oh, yeah, man, I can't even believe that somebody actually put this down on paper here.
Wow.
Because it's so obvious, actually, that we don't see it. For example, arthritis does have something in common with cancer. They both have connected to an excess production of calcium in the tissues. It also has something to do with eczema and psoriasis, which when you scrape eczema and psoriasis off and you analyze it from a mineralogical perspective, it's excess calcium in the skin, lots of it, actually. It's like scale, right? It's calcium.
Wow. So it really does relate to everything. And does it also cause fibrosis and the shrinking of internal organs and things?
Yeah, it can cause hardening of the organs. It can cause damage to the organs. And we know that from the kidney stones and gallstones and even cataract. Like, what's a cataract in your eye? What is it? It's a formation of calcium in your eye. And so the calcification in the eye forms those, you start to see it sometimes in elderly people. They start having a fog in the eye, in the iris, and in the pupil, and calcification. That's calcium again. So I get into, and this is not something I don't think we can have time to really break down right here, but I get into the understanding of what is calcium. Calcium is, to my mind, is the end product of an alchemical lifting up from hydrogen all the way into solid matter mass, which is calcium, that's used as an exoskeleton or skeleton or fibrous material by vertebrate organisms and even invertebrate organisms that can form the structural part of your body. But then when you pass from this planet, it's left over as a residue on the planet. For example, the exoskeletons of algae and coral, that's where we get these calcium beds that are present in many deserts around the world. That used to be under an ocean. And that calcium builds up as a layer. We're digging that stuff up and eating it. You don't want to eat the skeletons of life forms.
Right.
That's going to make you a skeleton.
Because it still contains the spores of that, right?
Yeah, the idea is if you're digging up calcium out of the earth and eating it, you could actually be contaminating yourself not only with the calcium, but also spores of calcium-forming organisms. And so I'm going to break this really real for us and give you an observable thing to check out. And that is when you go look at, like when a dock gets put in on a beach, and you'll see that the pylons that are part of that dock that support it, over the years they'll get accreted or they'll accumulate coral, mollusks, mussels, clams, right all around it. Now, if you look at the images of that and then you compare it to arthritis, you go, wait a second, that's exactly the same thing. It looks exactly the same because it is the same. It's calcium-forming organisms, like a clam, that's responsible for most arthritis, lots of plaque formation in the body, lots of calcium formation in the liver, like gallstones, lots of calcium formation in our blood and cardiovascular system that can end up as kidney stones, etc.
Wow, and this is crazy. We have to close out the show here pretty soon, but as you mentioned in your course, that people are getting this calcium from their drinking water, their tap water, from bread that's been kneaded with tap water, municipal tap water and things. So they're getting it from everywhere, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. Right. So this is what I've been talking about recently, is closing down the vectors with which stuff that's extraneous to you that you don't know anything about and that could be actually toxic or harmful to you, closing down those vectors or those avenues of that stuff into your body. That's why getting control of your water and the purity of your water, getting control of your food and the purity of your food, getting control of the air and the purity of the air, especially in your inner environment, in your house. These are the areas of the future. These are the mega businesses of the future. This is where the focus is going in the future because of the toxicity and because of the things we dumped into the environment that are less than excellent.
I love it. I love it. If people are interested in that, they can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/longevity. And thank you, David, for spending some time with us today. So much fun.
That was great. Thank you, guys. You're awesome.
All right. So what do you think of Mr. David Avocado Wolf?
I was just going to say the exact sentence. I was going to say, so what do you think of Mr. David Avocado?
Man. He's
we have
good,
the same brain. He is an intelligent and well-versed man.
Yeah, he's a fireball, isn't he?
He's great.
Yeah.
I just love every time I've heard him on the radio or at the Women's Wellness Conference I've attended. He's so inspiring. I'm so glad that we kind of delved into that mostly.
Yeah.
Because the health stuff's always going to, be out there for people, and it's exciting to have just that spark kind of lit under you again by hearing some of the principles of a better way to live and have the best day ever.
I know, it's really good.
To make it your best day every day.
What do you do when you go out to dinner and all of your friends eat just a less than excellent diet, as he would say, less than excellent? And they're eating this kind of diet and they don't even know what you're doing, and you order a salad and everybody else is eating, McDonald's or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. What do you do? And so why do you want to, make a statement like that or stand out like that? And so having this value and intention in who you are and what you're going for something well beyond, what is this quote he says? If you want what everyone has, just do what everybody else is doing.
Right.
If you want something different, you have to do something different on a daily basis. And asking yourself, where is this food going to take me?
Yeah. How's it going to serve me?
Yeah. I love his stuff about saturation too. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah. Those are interesting insights and great principles.
Yeah. Because I feel like for me, when I've been listening to this creditorsincommerce.com site, I just listen to that and I just am so fascinated by it. And I just listen to it all day, every day. And I'm just
you really
obsessed.
resonate with it. I know.
It's really fascinating.
I'm afraid you're going to leave me for Brandon Adams. No, but I know you're just you're saturating yourself in it, and I've seen the change in you and the knowledge in that area, and it's just impressive, I have to say. Yeah,
and it's really not doing anything different. I'm just listening to stuff on the iPod,
Right, but it's something that has piqued your interest and you love it, and that's when you become more of a, quote, expert on something, the more you... I love that whole part of the show today when he just talked about, how to be an expert, and the quote about what you want, if you want to be a national expert, if you want to be a world-renowned expert, if you want. I mean, that is some serious time and energy, but I think it stems out of a place of your passion and love for something. I mean, no one's going to spend that much time in something just to be an expert if they don't love it. And if they do, they're going to be a really crappy expert,
right,
without the heart behind it. And that's where I feel like no matter what it is that people are interested in or passionate in, man, if we could just have the motivation and the clarity and the time and the intent on pursuing that more. I mean, imagine where our world would be.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, imagine if people lived
we all did that
with that kind of passion.
Right.
I mean, it's just incredible.
Wow. And it might not mean reading books, like 1,000 books like him, but it might mean saturating yourself just, around those people. Just immerse yourself with those people that are in the same field, and you'll start just melding into and becoming...
Right.
Just soaking that up, and it's going to flow into every other area, and you'll start affecting others too. But
I think that's so true, because if you look at people, they just leak out like what Truth Calkins talks about, Jing or Qi, your life force energy, things like that. You leak that stuff out when you're watching the news, and you're really just kind of living with no passion and no intention.
Yeah.
And what I love about David and his work in this field is that, he's not going to waste time sitting around on the couch doing nothing. You know what I mean?
He's going to go mushroom hunting in the snow.
Yeah, he's doing something.
He's out there.
Right now, he's going to go for a workout, he said.
Right.
And he just did an interview. He'll probably do another interview with some other show after that, and then he'll do some writing.
He's
and then
proactive.
He'll go make a smoothie, a superfood shake, and everything he's doing it with mean intention, kind of like what Mike Tyson said.
Yes.
Every single thing. And if you live your life that way, I mean, the amount of goals that you could accomplish It's just incredible. You know, when you stop leaking your time and stop wasting your time watching meaningless TV and reading meaningless books and meaningless magazines like people do, you know?
Yeah.
I know that's something that you've talked about recently, is upgrading your magazines.
Yeah, to something that actually affects and adds to my life.
Right.
Instead of the same, I mean, yeah, you know, I just had a conversation last night about, I mean, you look at the cover of any fashion magazine, it's always the same. We got the cure for this. Here's the answer for this. Here's if you want to have perfect love. And it's the same thing, you know, since the beginning of magazines, since the beginning of time, nothing new. But here I found a whole bunch of new magazines that actually are something I'm interested in, and they're changing me. They're worth my time now, you know? It's not leaking, it's gaining.
Yeah.
Knowledge.
Yeah, and I think it's like when you can have that level of focus, and it doesn't have to be like a type A anal kind of really stiff upper lip kind of thing where you're not malleable and flexible, but when you can have that kind of focus in general over your whole life and think, okay, is the food that I'm eating, where is it taking me? Is it gonna cause me to end up in a hospital bed with cancer, riddled with tumors? Or is this food going to give me the energy that I need to achieve my goals, to live the kind of life I want? Okay, what about this, what I'm doing for my time? Am I going to bed too late? Am I wasting time watching TV? What could I be doing instead of watching TV? Could I spend time with my wife, my family, my kids? Can I read a book instead? Something that's actually going to take me to another level.
Right.
And when you start looking and picking apart every area of your life like that, you start realizing, man, I could change a lot. And you do that for 6 months, man, you're going to be a different person.
Yeah. How can you not be changed by that? And unfortunately, some of that, but fortunately, I should say, some of that is going to include cutting people out. Like him in a situation last night where he just couldn't be around that anymore.
Right.
And I thought, man, for 15 years, I've been in the hair salon having people in my chair all day, 10 hours a day, talking about their little insignificant life dramas, and they're creating. And I have to tell you, I mean, I resonated with that when he was talking about that. I'm like, this is just, I don't have time for this. And it might start bumming people out, but if I put the kibosh on it, I'm just going to have to start setting clearer boundaries with those people, because and it might tick some people off, and you might even lose some business. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not worth my mental energy being just sucked, my chi, my life. I just feel like it's just sucked for so long. Now I need to build up and be around these things that are actually going to propel me into a better
It's
situation.
So true. And because people, if you're listening to this, you probably realize when you're around a bunch of negative people, gossiping about other people and getting involved in other people's dramas that really has no place in our life. What they do with their life, that's their situation. When these types of people, they want to get you into that low level, that low energy vortex of just being negative and being down on life. And it's so drawing that line, almost a circle in the sand, like, hey, that stuff's not coming in here.
Right.
I'm not.
And that's hard,
that.
because that's what people thrive off of: drama and gossip. And that's just those are the two things that will take anybody down. And if like the Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, I just resonate so much with that book. And in the one chapter, he talks about how when you even just talk about someone in a negative way, it's basically placing like a black magic on them or a spell of sorts that is not adding anything to the world or anything particular to that person's, especially their life. And I thought, my gosh, imagine if we just cut all that stuff out of our lives, as painful and as hard as that is, because I'm sitting there going, oh, how do you do that in a business sense?
Business sense, yeah.
But there has to be a way to turn it positively, not just cutting them off, but being like, hey, I'm taking a vacation from gossip, or I'm on a positive what do you call it? Like a journey.
Track,
yeah. And I'm only letting positive talk come out of it, and put it more on me and see how that affects them. And I might experiment around with that.
What you could do is say that to someone before they sit down and say, or, before it maybe even comes up, so that you're not saying, hey, I'm saying this to you because you are negative.
Right. But hey, I'm doing a negative cleanse. I'm not letting any negativity. I just have to tell you up front, I'm not allowed to go there. I'm doing this thing where I'm seeing how my life's going to change. Yeah, I'm not negative.
Say it, so I can't in a be way around it. Yeah, that tells them, it kind of announces it to them in a cool, positive way before any negativity happens.
Right.
And then they'll be aware that, hey, I can't go to negative town.
That's kind of, can't live in negative town. That's kind of a cool experiment to try. And David Wolf kind of set me on the right path today and kind of lit that fire. So
because it's interesting too, because I don't think what, people realize that when we're talking negative about people, not only is it affecting them on an energetic level, like Chris Kaler was talking about, and even Dr. Larry Lytle was talking about on episode 165, and Chris Kaler was talking about on 166, but it's also affecting our own physiology. It's also affecting our own cells when we use self-deprecating language, when we say, today is horrible, or I'm having a horrible day.
Right.
It brings you down at the cellular level. And that's probably what Dr. Larry Lytle was talking about, that pulls electrons off of the atom and causes the atoms to go acidic, which causes them to create unhealthy and poorly formed cells.
Right. And then you go down disease highway.
Yeah, disease highway.
To negative town.
Don't go
That's
to
where you end
town.
up.
Don't go to negative town. Oh, man. So I hope you enjoyed that interview with David Wolf, and we're still working on this sound thing, aren't we?
Yeah, but it was better than it has been, so grateful.
We just had a little mishap, but
we're okay. We'll bounce back.
We'll figure it out. And hopefully you enjoyed that show, and if there's ever anything we could do for you, please let us know. You can always email us, and if you have any comments or questions about this show or insights, go to extremehealthradio.com/167. And you'll be able to make a comment on that page and contribute to the community. And also, don't forget to check out our store. Those two products we talked about, the sauna and the Qigong course, they're both in our store as well. We've got lots of really unique products in our store, things that lifestyle tools and really, really unique supplements and foods and things in our store. So check that out if you are wanting to support us and get your hands on some interesting products there. And here's a little quote from David Wolf.
Nice.
The subtle energy of your food becomes your mind.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting. So the energetics of your food is becoming your mind. The subtle energy of your food becomes your mind. Something to think about.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show, and let us know if we could ever help you in any way, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here